Man, so it's been a very exciting week in the world of One Piece. Well, I guess it depends on what side you're on and what you believe in and what you want to happen. But Oda's been talking a lot. The SBS has been released, maybe not officially, but the SBS, we have the translations for it. I know people are complaining about the translation I used, but I think based on my conclusion, the translation didn't matter because based on the new translations that's out, the Library of Ohara, other people that's put out translations, it's pretty much the same thing that I was saying, right? In which in 5 years, Luffy's adventure would be over. And I guess in the new translations, I guess we can clarify here, Oda did elaborate saying what is the One Piece will come to his conclusion. But for the most part, after that, he has to draw the greatest battle in One Piece. And so therefore that gives us somewhat of a timeline as to how things are going to go down in the story. Now in the last video, people were saying, well, what if Oda just means 5 years in regards to One Piece time? So that actually led to a lot of people saying a time skip is coming. Like Oda is saying a time skip is here. Where the wording could be skewed that way, but is that what he was really saying? But I guess before we get there, we have to just figure out exactly how do we get there, right? Because right now we're still in Wano, and right now things are going pretty well, maybe a bit too well. A lot of people have been actually saying that the Alliance looks good, the Alliance doesn't need any more people, Luffy doesn't even need his grand fleet, we got this. And I think that's the feeling the story wants you to have. The story wants you to have this feeling of everything is going to be okay, they're overcoming every obstacle that comes in their way, but we know at some point something has to go wrong. We can go back arc by arc by arc. The Straw Hats, they would have the upper hand, it seems like everything is going their way, then something huge happens that they have to overcome. And we haven't had that yet in Wano. I think also based on what's going on, there's several open-ended things, right? Of course, in last chapter, we had the X-Drake stuff, the Hawkins stuff, and there's something in there that we really didn't talk about a lot, but there's the possibility of a third party here that hasn't revealed himself or has revealed himself, we just don't know exactly who he is. And that's in chapter 990 after Queen and Who's Who confronted X-Drake. Who's Who said back in the Flower Capital that they had someone watching X-Drake. Now people are gonna say it could be Hawkins, but based on how things kind of flowed, it does not seem like Hawkins was the one watching him, because how could Hawkins watch him when Hawkins was dismembered by Law? So that's an interesting wrinkle. Could we have another traitor in our midst? I think another reason for optimism has been Big Mom, not in regards to what she hasn't done, but what her family could do, right? Because we know Marco is currently with Perospero, and a lot of people expect for them to betray Kaido, them being the Big Mom pirates, but really, how does that go down? But is it going to be that straightforward? Could Perospero turn on the Alliance, therefore presenting more of a problem? Personally, I think he hates the Beast Pirates more than he hates the Straw Hats, which would signify that they've been feuding for a long time, especially based on what the Straw Hats have just done. They literally just went into Whole Cake Island, caused some commotion, and even got into the newspaper with big news. So for Perospero, he does not like the Straw Hats in the Alliance, but he hates the Beast Pirates more. Now, the person who was watching X-Drake aside, there's been a theory going around the community about the Alliance failing in regards to this raid, meaning that the raid on Onigashima would actually fail and they would have to retreat back to Wano. People are saying, well, the ships have been destroyed. Not the Straw Hat ship, most of the other ships. Could we get to a situation in which the Alliance, most of them die, but the Straw Hats, Kid Pirates, Law Pirates, the significant members, they get away, and then we reconvene to come back again? That is certainly possible, especially if you believe in the theory of the dragon flying over the capital and then being slayed by the swordsman. And that goes back to a lot of people who feel like Zoro could be the one to land the final blow on Kaido. So some people do feel like the raid is going to go back to Wano, and then the people of Wano will see Kaido fall. And that would restore hope in the people, obviously, and add to Luffy's legend. Now, there's an issue of time here in regards to how things are going to go down, and I'm not sure exactly what they mean. So the main thing I'm talking about here is Hawkins, right? Where Hawkins talked about Luffy a month from when they arrived in Wano, he will be at 19%. There's a 19% chance that he will survive. It definitely has not been a month since they've been in Wano, right? So at this point, there should be another week or so left, week or two left in Wano, unless Hawkins was not talking about his survival rate in Wano, which to me wouldn't make much sense. Now, Hawkins recently came out and said by tomorrow, Luffy's, not Luffy, but someone's percentage would be at 1%. Their survival rate would be at 1%. Some people have been speculating that it's Law, X-Drake, some even said Kaido, right? So at this point, how does the timing match up? If it's a month from now, that means that they will effectively fail here and they would have to regroup, come back a week later, or they're found a week later. And then Luffy at that point, he has a 19% chance to survive. Now, we have to understand that in this situation, things could have changed because when Hawkins gave Luffy that premonition or that percentage, Big Mom was not in Wano yet. Big Mom had not allied with Kaido. So I guess for the Alliance, it was a 19% chance of defeating Kaido back then. And maybe because of Big Mom, things are sped up and it's a 1% chance now. We're not sure exactly how that plays into it. So with that being said, right, I think at some point, obviously they beat Kaido and then they progress outside of Wano, but I think they barely beat these people. So that goes back to their requisite strength. And how do we see them post Wano? I think Luffy will be closer to the Yonko tier, while Zoro and Sanji will be firmly on commander tier based on how difficult things should be in Wano. Will Luffy at this point be ready to challenge someone like Blackbeard? Because I think effectively post-Wano, Oda is hinting that the final war is next. Now, I'll talk about the final war in a bit, but as far as Luffy being ready, maybe not, right? Maybe he's not ready to fight Blackbeard, but we have to wrap up his story and what the One Piece is. And I think that's impossible to wrap up without Blackbeard. But if we include Blackbeard, we have to include Shanks. And if we include Shanks, Luffy has to be involved in some way. There are people that used to speculate that Luffy wouldn't meet Shanks, right? That Luffy would just find out that Shanks died. And with that, I vehemently disagree. And that's based on what Oda has said about certain moments in the story that he loves. And a lot of those moments are reunions. So for Oda, he is not going to pass up this opportunity to have Luffy meet Shanks again. There's absolutely no way. So within this span, right? Because the 5 years, we're not sure exactly when that started and when it's up, but this 5-year span or whatever, how can Luffy meet Shanks? Shanks and Blackbeard have their showdown, then Luffy fight Blackbeard and get the One Piece. Or some people could feel like that doesn't have to happen. And I guess it goes back to how you see things playing out, but let me just lay mines out right here. I think post-Wano, Luffy goes to Elbaf because Elbaf is going to be involved in the final war. You have the Giants, the greatest army in the world. I've said before, you don't mention them unless you're going to showcase them. So they're going to be recruited by the Straw Hats. Usopp is going to be involved here. If Big Mom's storyline in regards to Mother Carmel isn't wrapped up here, I know a lot of people don't want that, but Big Mom will be going to Elbaf, right? That's just going to happen because Big Mom, she will be following the Straw Hats wherever they go. So in Elbaf, we may wrap up the Big Mom stuff. We may have some stuff with Usopp. And then also Shanks may be in Elbaf. Elbaf may be one of his territories. Now, there have been several hints in regards to why Shanks could be connected to Elbaf, and I'll show some of them. If Shanks is indeed in Elbaf, we could have that awesome moment in reunion on our way to wherever we go past Elbaf. And then that could effectively take care of that moment and then move on to Shanks and Blackbeard. That goes on to another popular theory. Does Blackbeard kill Shanks? I don't think that has to happen. I just think that should happen, right? Because if a Blackbeard, say he fights Shanks and he doesn't kill him, what would Shanks' role be going forward? And also, what would be the point of having them meet if it wouldn't be a severe penalty? Two Yonko basically fighting to the death, I would assume Blackbeard would want to effectively end it. But again, that doesn't have to happen. That's something that I think should happen and something I would like to happen, even as much as I like Shanks. And personally, I think it would add a lot more to Luffy versus Blackbeard in the end. Whereas, yeah, the Ace thing is there, but that's more so a Kainu. But the Shanks thing, if Blackbeard does something to Shanks, let's say he takes another arm or something, then at that point it's personal for Luffy. And that would make for some awesome fights. But I think that makes the most sense if Luffy's actually fighting Blackbeard before the final war. Because if Luffy doesn't fight Blackbeard and goes to the final war as he is now, or as he will be post-Wano, which I think, again, teetering on the Yonko tier, it wouldn't be that much of a problem. And the reason why I think it wouldn't be that much of a problem is that Luffy excels in those situations. So for instance, the final war, Luffy will have allies around him. And Luffy has an embedded Belo Betty mechanism within him. Like, his power is what Belo Betty's Devil Fruit is. He has the power to not only raise people's morale, have them fight above their normal capabilities, but to bring people to him, attract enemies, friends, whomever. That's what Luffy's power is. So he could excel here. But if we're going up against the world government and Kainu and admirals, are they truly ready post-Wano? And again, it depends on if they fight Blackbeard before this war or after this war. If they fight him before, obviously they should win. Oda could throw a wrinkle in there in which they get overwhelmed. But for me, that wouldn't make much sense, right? You have to complete Luffy's story, figure out what the One Piece is, then we go on to the world government, because I think that's the final enemy. Imu-sama, the Gorosei, they've had power for so long, they're going to be the final people we have to take down. But in the midst of this, could we have a time skip before the final war? The reason why I'm saying a time skip before the final war is because after Elbaf, after the Blackbeard stuff, how much preparation would have to be done before they can challenge the world government? Now, based on the timeline as well, I would no longer be surprised if Sabo is captured, because that could also be Luffy's incentive, in addition to the One Piece, for going after the world government. I think the Straw Hats, in regards to abilities, we will see a showcase in Wano here in regards to the extent of what they can do. I think that absolutely happens, but does that make this crew Pirate King caliber? Now for the time skip, I gotta say I do not agree with that notion, because like I pointed out, if you fight Blackbeard before that, Luffy excels in war. He doesn't necessarily have to be as strong as the people he's going up against initially, because he grows so much through battle. So in this case, while a time skip would be cool, they really haven't been together that long, right? So imagine Fishman Island, Punk Hazard, Dressrosa, Zoe, Whole Cake, now Wano. It's been month and a half, and a lot of it has been travel time, right? And I think I'm highballing how much time has passed. Then we go on another 5-year time skip. I don't agree with that. I don't think Oda meant that, because I don't think a time skip is necessary. The Straw Hats grow at a rapid pace. From island to island to island, they get stronger, and then that time skip would be overkill. Yes, in an interview, Luffy's voice actor did get in trouble because she inquired what age will Luffy become the Pirate King. But for a time skip to happen, something would have to go so wrong for them to say, yo, we need 5 years before we challenge the world government. It seems like everything is happening now. Not a 5-year gap, everything is happening now. If there was a 5-year time skip, that would be crazy because at that point, obviously Blackbeard gets the One Piece. The world government, they get even stronger. And it would make things interesting, but that would prolong the story to a point that we don't have anymore, right? And we have to wrap this up in 5 years. And if you go to another time skip, then we have to spend time to flesh all those things that happened over the time skip out. There are things from 3D 2Y that we still do not know all about. So going on another time skip after that, as cool as it would be, I don't think it happens. Now, people always talk about Luffy's age and becoming the Pirate King at 21, 22. I don't think that's a bad thing, right? I think in every shonen, the main character, they achieve things at a very young age. And for Luffy, he's been aided by his friends who are really strong and aided by members of the previous generation. Like, I think Big News has aided Luffy, obviously Rayleigh. So Luffy hasn't really had to carve out a path because it's already there. And based on the people before him, it's made it a bit easier, but his tenacity and willpower to succeed, that drives him. He's just gonna have to figure it out. No more time skips. He comes to his own conclusion about the One Piece. Then we actually go from there. I think this is the most exciting time in the community because there's so much speculation about what's gonna happen and just what Oda is going to do. It's very highly anticipated. So I think for right now, we just have to enjoy the ride, but there's also something that we cannot discount, something that we can't forget here. This is one of the few times in the story in which we have no idea what's gonna happen past an arc. For most of the time skip, either in the story or out of the story, there's been some indication in regards to where we're gonna go next. Whole Cake was more so of a surprise, but everywhere else was like, yeah, it's Punk Hazard, then Dressrosa, then Zoe. It was pretty much foreshadowed. And even the editors have come out and talked about future arcs. I don't know what's happening after Wano. I have no idea. Elbaf makes the most sense, but we could go somewhere else. We don't have to go to Elbaf. Yeah, no time skip for me. No time skip before the final war, especially if he fights Blackbeard before that. Guys, give me your thoughts. Do you think there should be a time skip before the final war, especially a 5-year time skip? Because I don't think so at all. But yeah, give me your thoughts. Make sure to like the video if you did. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Follow me on Twitter at BragoDAce. Follow me on Instagram at BragoD.Ace. Thank you to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Make sure to like and subscribe. Again, everyone, that helps with the algorithm, etc. And I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.